Hi, I'm Carrie Blazer, Mary Magdalene Soul. I'm back today with another reaction video. I'm still trying to figure out Loom and other things, but I'm going to keep going while I'm here. Today, we're going to hear from Mosab Hassan Yousef. He is the son of the co-founder of Hamas. Now, why am I interested? Of course, Mary Magdalene, born in Israel. My ex-husband is Israeli. My children are half Israeli. And my youngest daughter and my older daughter too have a hard time with the one-state solution for Israel. But I'm going to listen to Mosab, who was born in Ramallah, which is in the West Bank of Israel, who was raped when he was 5 years old, who couldn't tell anyone because he knew at 5 years old if he told someone he was raped, he would be killed because he brought dishonor to the family, and the person who was raped would be killed. So he kept it to himself. He was brutally assaulted by groups, abused at home. And when he was 17, he was arrested, and the Israeli Defense Force approached him to become an intelligence officer. And they had to put him in jail for 16 months. It were horrendous things in jail. You could listen to the video. I have a link below. And then when he came out of jail, they educated him. They said, okay, we're going to send you education. What else would you educate yourself? So he did. And one thing he educated himself on was Christianity. And he found Christ consciousness, and he learned how to love thy enemy. So let's hear from him for a second, and then we'll talk some more. And we're also going to get into Jordan Peterson asked a question about why are Democrats so interested in the conflict in Israel? And we'll get into that. It's a trauma response.
So what did your education change for you? Education was just the first step. I had to educate myself. Like, for example, while I was in prison, I studied English. I memorized Oxford Dictionary.
Yeah, he ended up going to college for history, but this man faces his fears. I mean, he's, I'll let you listen if you want to listen to the video, but he faces fear of death at 10 years old by laying in a dugout grave. He's thrown rocks at Israeli Defense Forces because he wasn't allowed to go to school during the first Intifada in 1987 because people en masse would come to schools and tell them to go throw rocks at IDF for pictures. So the IDF could look really bad, and then Yasser Arafat could get money. Yeah. So let's listen some more.
I was reading 16 hours a day. And I spent lots of time in Israeli prison. This is how I spent my time. When I was released, I opened up to Christianity, especially the Bible. And the Bible had a huge impact on my life, especially, the New Testament and the teachings of Christ, which to me, it's not Christianity as much as Christ consciousness. It's a state.
So Christ consciousness is finding God within. It's self-love. So part of the message I'm here to tell people is that the second coming is here, and no one's coming to save you. Now is a time of self-healing. Self-love creates heaven on earth. Okay, and I can get into that. I get into that more in other videos, but it's all based on the laws of physics. And we have energy bodies, and we move between our emotions, and that's why we have to learn to surf the waves in life. There's a whole, laws of physics explain why it's necessary. Let's learn from him some more.
Advanced state of consciousness, and the challenge of love thy enemy. Mm-hmm. And that came in a place where I was conflicted.
Love thy enemy?
Where you actually had enemies. Exactly. And who is my enemy? Like, is it my people? Is it my rapist? Is it my torturer? Is it Israel? Who is it? So
I mean, that is the best question. Well, who isn't his enemy in his life? He's raped, being abused at home, can't go to school, he's been told to go kill Israelis, go throw rocks at them because they're in a war. gets thrown in jail, tells a story about how the Hamas leaders in the jail who were killing a lot of other Palestinians because they accused them of working with the Israeli Defense Force when they weren't. It was a lie. And those are the people that Hamas, that the Palestinians want to release from prison in exchange for the women and children that they took on October 7th. You know, because that's a good trade, right? Murderers for women and children. This is what Israel's facing, and you want to side with the murderers? Okay. You know, but this man has faced himself, faced his fears. I mean, Carl Jung says, where your fear is, there is your task. And he has faced that fear. I mean, learning to love thy enemy, him, he can do it. Anyone is capable of loving thy enemy because there's no enemies here. And this is the friggin' point. We're souls having a human experience. We're souls. We have wounds. This is why we do things that are out of balance. This is why we kill kids. This is why we, put Christ on a cross and killed him in front of me while I was pregnant 2,000 years ago. This is why we do the messed up things that we do. But let's understand a little more based on the laws of physics. When energy moves, it brings life. So energy has to fluctuate between higher vibrating energy and lower vibrating energy for life to exist. So shame vibrates at 20 hertz in our souls or our energy bodies. Love at about 200 hertz, enlightenment at 700 to 1,000 hertz. And it's the movement between those emotions that creates energy and fluctuation that breeds life.
Challenge of love thy enemy. Really?
So, challenge love thy enemy, yeah. So, I had a lot of enemies. A lot. I barely had friends. I was sexually abused as a child and probably raped and forced abortions. Those are my memories, but I haven't been confirmed yet. It was 40 years ago. But I still went on to get a master's degree and travel around the world and live in Israel and go to Tibet, learn to speak Chinese, give birth to 3 kids, all while being super traumatized as a child. As souls, we are extremely capable, and we just need to accept that about ourselves, how much capability we have, that if this man, the son of the co-founder of Hamas, can find Christ consciousness, who can't? If he can love thy enemy, who can't? And I challenge you to do it. I challenge you every day to do it. Because you know what you're going to find inside yourself is more love. And when you go down what they call the rabbit hole of love, there's just more love. If you want to go the rabbit hole of self-hate, there's just more self-hate. So choose which rabbit hole you want to go down. Okay? So this is a man to learn from, for sure.
Really made peace with the world somehow. And
he's done it,
I
made peace with the world.
I don't have enemies anymore. And this would help me actually heal and progress.
Because from that perspective, that acknowledges that we are all souls having a human experience, that we're a collective of souls that has a collective plan, and each individual soul has a plan that supports the collective plan. And within that collective plan, we hold space for everyone's wounds. If you need to murder someone, we'll hold space for that so that you can see yourself and the other person too. If you need to get raped to see yourself, we'll hold space for that. All these things are holding space to see ourselves and understand ourselves so that we can make better decisions. So that we're not caught in this oppressor victim mindset, which is all bullshit. Our souls plan our lives based on our wounds for self-improvement opportunities. If our souls are planning our lives, how is anyone a victim? Let's just be honest. How is anyone a victim when our souls plan everything? Everything. Can't be a victim that way. Can't be a victim.
So I made a principle that I did not want to kill any of my opponents. But I have to say that today I regret it. Today I regret it. The influence of Christ consciousness of just love everybody unconditionally did not get me to where I needed to be. Because today I'm under the influence of cause and effect.
And here's just being brutally honest. It sounds great. Just love everybody. Sounds great, right? But loving everybody means drawing some serious, tough boundaries. Tough boundaries. I mean, I got a roommate I don't talk to because she was so disrespectful. I'm like, you just got to move out. And so you can't talk to me. You do not have permission to speak to me. And that's tough love. Okay. She's in the middle of a restraining order thing with her daughter. So if I can teach her when to shut her fucking mouth and keep her daughter and get her daughter back sooner, and I can lose a friend so she can gain a daughter, then I'm going to do that. And that's love. That's love. You know, like, who's Jesus Christ in this lifetime? You know, who's JC? I know. He's the head of global security at GoDaddy, Jason Colvin. Look it up. How do I know? Men of my childhood. That's how I know. And we haven't talked in 40 years. I reached out about a year ago, but our trauma was so severe between us that we're still not ready to talk. And why so much trauma? Because if I wanted to come out with all this wisdom about how to, heal myself, experience enlightenment a plethora of times the past year and a half, I had to take out an equal amount of wounds to get an equal amount of wisdom. And I, took on Mount Everest-sized wounds so I can get Mount Everest-sized wisdom to help the whole collective, because now is the time for self-healing. Now is the time, not 2,000 years ago. Now is the time. The Mayan calendar showed us the end of the time cycle in 2012 started a new time cycle of self-healing. And that's why medicine journeys are exploded and mental health is exploded. All this exploding, it's darkest before the dawn, which is proven. When is it coldest and darkest? Right before the sun comes out. Proven by science. Okay? There's a way of things. Science. And spirituality has been proven by science. So energy bodies abide by the laws of physics. Doesn't mean we don't have energy bodies. You can call it spiritual, but it's also science. Here we go. Let's listen some more about what he's accomplished.
Not right or wrong. And I think there is no escape for anybody from karma or from their own actions. Nobody's above this universal law. It has nothing to do with cultures. And I tried so hard to save my father's life. If I wasn't in the picture, they would have killed him 1,000 times. Saying that I thought to myself, he's moderate.
Now, I don't know what happened, but I bet that was a gift from the Israeli government. I bet that was a gift, that they did not kill his father. He was true to himself, and that kept his father alive. A lot of lessons in that.
He's in a political wing. He's not a military wing. But this is the problem of this is a moderate and this is extremist. Then you go into this rabbit hole and you never find your way out. I thought to myself, no. You are complicit in Hamas crimes. Then you qualify for the same punishment as any of their attackers on October 7th.
Yeah, I mean, there's the tough love. He gave his dad tough love. Did what was right in his heart. And that is what kept his dad alive. He manifested self-belief he didn't manifest his fears because he confronts his fears. And so he doesn't manifest them. When you spend time all day long in your fears, that's what you manifest. When you spend time all day long in self-love and self-belief, that's what you manifest. And that's what I'm doing right here on this YouTube channel. And my website's being developed by GoDaddy. The more closer I got to him, the more this came out. Like the day that I met with the GoDaddy web designers is the day 2 weeks ago I was finally ready to call the police, which was 9 months after I first saw I was facing all my fears. I had a hysterical pregnancy and I faced my fear of being raped while talking to JC's soul. And then 9 months later, sign of synchronicity, that I was pregnant. My dad didn't sleep at my house at night, and I lived a quarter mile from his house. I only realized that this Memorial Day. My dad would spend every night at his girlfriend's house on the nights I was there because my parents got divorced when I was 6. Okay? So our souls plan our lives based on our wounds, and I needed deep, deep, deep wounds. I mean, I'm Mary Magdalene's soul, and it was so bad for me, I attempted suicide 6 years ago. But why? I had to let go so much that to do a deep dive into my shadow, to dive down in there and come back with what I call soul logic. The universe is a mirror. Soul logic. Compassion is spiritual protection. Soul logic. Soul logic is like universal truths, universal wisdom, universal knowledge, like Einstein, Hawking's. They downloaded a ton of universal knowledge. But there's a way of things. 1 + 1 = 2. There's a way of things. Okay? And I'll be talking a lot more about that because there's so many ways of things that we need to decide. We need to like clarify what's a wound and what's wisdom. And right now we got a lot of wounds. But I'm going to go on to the next question that Jordan Peterson asked him in a minute, which is, why do you think Democrats are so attracted to the Israeli-Palestine conflict? Let's talk about that for a second. And I had this conversation with my older daughter, and we're going to use the universe as a mirror wisdom to understand why this happens. So I was explaining to her yet again, because, you know, there's layers of healing. You know, it's, oh, we're like onions and we're layers. Yeah, when we get it all the way down to the bottom layer, I call it pinky toe healing. If it's all the way integrated to my pinky toe, I don't get triggered by it anymore. Okay, so now universal wisdom is pinky toe healing for me because I don't get triggered by it anymore. So we're talking about the immigration raids, and I voted liberal my whole life until a year ago. I voted for Trump, first time ever. She had a video on her Instagram of a teenage girl crying because her mom was being taken away by immigration raids. And I asked her, I said, so why do you think you resonate with a story where the mom is torn away from the daughter? Oh, wait, let's look at our past. I almost died when she was 4 weeks old because I went back to work too early and I got bacterial pneumonia, spent 2 weeks on a ventilator, 5 days on 100% oxygen. I almost died, and we've just healed that wound 24 years later. So the universe constantly shows us ourselves for self-improvement opportunities. That's why the universe is a mirror. And we have mirror neurons that help this function this way. So, and the laws of physics explain. Okay, so we have energy bodies, and our energy bodies, our souls, communicate with different emotions, which vibrate at different hertz. So shame is like 20 hertz, anger is about 80 hertz, love is like 200 hertz, compassion is 400 hertz, enlightenment, which is an emotion, is 700 to 1,000 hertz. It's called the Map of Consciousness, if you want to look it up, by Dr. David R. Hawkins, very famous doctor and PhD. So our souls communicate through our heart space, and our heart, the electromagnetic field around our heart is 5,000 times stronger than our brain. And I got that from Dr. Joe Dispenza. And our heart sends far more signals to our brain than the other way around, which really shows you the heart is in charge. Heart's in charge, okay? And green on the wall for heart chakra. So the heart's in charge. And so we push our energy out through our hearts, and then we interact with other souls in the quantum field, is what they say. So why are we attracted? Why do certain souls draw our attention and other people don't? You know, why does that happen? And this is why, okay? So there's a physics experiment with 2 prongs. And one prong is tuned to 500 hertz, and one prong is tuned to 400 hertz, just for example. Well, when the 500 hertz moves, the 400 hertz doesn't even notice. No life there. But if they're both 400, the 400 moves, the other 400 moves. And that's what draws your attention. That is what, you know, makes you focus on something. That's what attracts you to something, is that your energy resonates. It's familiar energy. We resonate with what's familiar, so the universe as a mirror can show us ourselves. Whether the familiar is wise or the familiar is a wound, doesn't matter. There's no judgment there. This is how it works. This is how energy operates, okay? So the Democrats, I mean, in America, we have a lot of childhood trauma. The divorce rate is crazy. 50% of kids do not have a secure attachment to self. That means they're mentally ill. They either have an anxious attachment or have a avoidant attachment or somewhere in between. They're mentally messed up. Okay, that's what it means. I mean, if you look at the teacher videos of like 10-year-olds, the whole class will make sex noises at 10 years old. That didn't happen 5-10 years ago. Teachers know, they've been teaching. They get 10-year-olds every year. Okay, so our young people have a lot of trauma. Divorce doesn't work. We need to choose better. And how do we choose better? We love ourselves more. So now we're in the process of loving ourselves more, becoming more balanced, and women are out in society, but we're 20 years from population collapse. And we need women to want to go home and feel valued at home. It's not like, a shameful thing. Oh my God, you're a stay-at-home mom. Oh my God. You know what I'm talking about. Like, I worked, I stayed at home. I wish I could have stayed at home. I would have, yeah, I stayed at home, and I noticed the difference. I noticed I was healthier in my femininity when I wasn't working. And when I went back to work, my femininity, my laughter, my intuition, my happiness, gone. But I had to work. I needed money. Right? So, compassion is what we all need. And Mary Magdalene taught a lot about compassion. And in my book, one of the men is Andrew Tate, because I had a personal relationship with Justin Waller. And I had the capacity to have compassion for Andrew Tate when he was in solitary confinement. That's a feminine accomplishment, because how many people had compassion for that man? Very few. But he's in my lineup. So, which means his wounds are similar to all the other men in my lineup. First one is chess champion. Second one, Justin Waller. Okay, that's best friend, get it? 2 fire academy instructors. Ooh, no one wants to hear that, right? But people know, like, sex addiction is rampant in the fire department. That there's 32 global studies showing that 57% of firefighters have PTSD. And when you have PTSD as an adult, global studies also show, because you did not learn how to process your emotional pain as a child. You had childhood trauma. So, fire department attracted to a traumatic work life. But then they're messed up. So Andrew Tate was warm up for the fire department, who was warm up for the FBI and executives. Now, these are the men women want. Oh, but they all want monogamy. And they're sex addicts. What are you going to do? Oh, right. So they had a traumatic childhood. Why? Wounds to wisdom. They're ambitious souls. So they take on a traumatic childhood to go really dark, really deep. And then the gift is to learn how to transform those wounds into personal wisdom. And that's how you learn to surf the waves of life. If you don't know how to go into your pain, you can't find more self-belief and more self-confidence. I mean, when do you find more self-belief? When you're comfortable on the beach, no problems, full tummy? No. You find more self-confidence as a woman when you get your car breaks down, you got a flat tire in the rain, and there's no one around. Oh shit. I got to find some self-belief. Okay? When it's dark, that's when we dig deeper inside ourselves to find more parts of ourselves we haven't accessed yet. That's our toolbox. Like, I found all my shamanic gifts in my shadow and my subconscious because I wasn't ready to reveal those parts of myself. I found, Mary Magdalene's soul deep down in there too. I have a master's degree in East Asian religious studies. And I had to Google it this last June around my birthday, which is June 25th, direct opposite of December 25th. Did Jesus have a wife? Because I didn't know. Yeah, it's in the Da Vinci Code, but I didn't really remember. I didn't remember. Anyway, I'll end this here. This man has a wealth of knowledge, insight, and wherewithal. And a man who faces his fears like this man does, inspired. It would be an amazing day for me to meet this man. What he has taken on, the darkness he's making conscious is just profound. So please join me in celebrating him. Please like and subscribe for the channel if you want more videos, and I'll keep working on figuring out the two screen thing. All right, take care. Bye.